Hi, this is Asim.
This is Sujoy.
This is Amrita.
And you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast about the three main Khans of the Hindi film industry.
Amir,
Salman,
and Shara.
Hi, you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast regular feed. Thank you so much for your support over the years. We now have a Patreon channel with bonus content and exclusive merch for those of you who would like to support us. Every dollar goes towards creating more and better content. Visit us at patreon.com/Khandaan podcast.
Hi and welcome to a new episode of Khandaan Podcast. My name is Asim Bernie and I'm joined with my lovely co-hosts Amrita and Sujoy.
Hey everybody.
Hello.
घर कितना खाली खाली लग रहा है नहीं? Like when the guests go away and you're like it's just the three of us एक दूसरे की शक्ल देखें, you know.
Are you saying something about my shakal, Asim?
I know.
Huh? हिम्मत आते तो मुंह पे आके बोल.
But yeah, I think we also, let's say we're probably going to go on a little break now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I don't know, we've recorded one for Barzakh. We might do one for Patreon. So there's a bit of content coming. And we, on and off, we will probably be doing things for TikTok and there might even be an essay. So we will be around. But we won't be doing a show recording until probably beginning of September. I think that's what unless Sujoy, you're still off in the beginning of September.
I'm off in the beginning of September. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe mid-September, maybe we might get a guest on as a replacement. Let's see. But I think I'll be honest. I need a break, guys. I really need a break. Like Sujoy, you're already taking a Twitter break, right? You're on a social media break at the moment. I'm the same. My brain is fried. And I'll be honest, like just even like obviously because Twitter and TikTok is the place you get news about the things we like, about the conversations we want to have with our friends, the news, the gossip. But that's also the place where there's like just literal murders happening in front of our faces. And I need a break, you know? So I think it'll be good. We'll come back fresh. And what do you think, Amrita? A break is good now?
Need a break. Like it's just I don't know what is happening. Like everyone I know is just exhausted.
Yeah.
And this doesn't feel like work to me, like, you know, just coming and like recording and everything. But what does feel like work to me is actually watching the content, which, you know, like hanging out with you guys has never worked for me. Like that is like, this is relaxing and it's fun and it's a welcome break for like everything that's happening in my life. And I always look forward to like spending time with you guys. But like we just recorded a episode about Barzakh and I had only watched the first episode and I needed to watch the other episodes. And I was like, what's that Greek character, Atlas? That was just like, or Sisyphus, who's just like, you know, pushing that stone up the mountain. That was how I finished Barzakh, which is not how you should engage with any kind of art, you know, like that is not fair to the people who made it.
Yeah.
It's not fair to the people who like listen to this podcast. And I just need to just disconnect for a while from like, you know, like watching things that I don't want to watch necessarily and just like surround myself with things that I do want to do and do want to watch and come back to you like stronger, better, meaner, like all the things that you come to Khandaan for.
And I think in the meantime, it will also give us space to hear from our listeners. So if you are a patron, if you are a listener, drop us an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com. Let us know your hot takes, you know, the things that you absolutely want us to talk about when we come back. You know, if you've discovered older episodes or you've gone back, give us those thoughts. You know, we'd love to hear. And I think probably when we come back, we might do like another listeners episode, or we might even do a live hangout because we haven't done that in a while. That could be fun too. So we'll be back.
In the meantime, like, you know, we do have like an essay about Madhuri Dixit coming up, for instance. And we're working on like other essays, like Asim
Yeah.
and Sujoy are both like working on these essays. They're just waiting for the right muhurat and, the chand to be in the right phase in the sky before they record it.
Yeah, but
Um,
I think this is what we need. We need a little break from everything else we're doing on the background to just have like 5 minutes of time to write a damn script, right? Like these things, they're always on the back end because, like, even the Dur, and sorry, this is becoming like inside baseball and stuff, but like the Dur episode we did, I had to re edit that 4 times to make it listenable to people, right? Like that was a lot more work than I expected, right? So that takes up my time, and then I can't do any other things, and it's just a lot going on, man. And yeah, I think it'll be good. And we haven't had a break in a while, so I hope you guys are okay with that. But we have a jam-packed episode here. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. Amrita actually went out to the cinema and watched these new releases that feel like homework. Amrita, you watched. Let's get into. I'm really keen to hear your thoughts about Auron mein Kahaan
Kahadam tha. Yeah.
because I'm fascinated by this movie, and I haven't had a chance to watch it. But you were kind of positive about it, if I'm not mistaken.
I think if this movie had come out on streaming, then it would have performed much better than it did on the big screen.
Yeah.
There's this is not the kind of movie that is going to work in 2024 on the big screen. And the fact that they had a theatrical window for its release means that they kind of try to hedge their bets a little bit. So you have like the Ajay Devgan character who is, like this entire movie is about love of the kind that, the poets write about. And it's elevated and it's mystical and it's self-sacrificial and like all that kind of stuff. Like it's an epic love story. And then they're like, oh no, but it's releasing in 2024 on the big screen. So we need to make sure that, the unwashed masses will also watch it. So, so he's also like a badass and he's like beating up people, etc., because he's Ajay Devgan in jail. And it really doesn't work. Like that whole thing doesn't really work. Also, if your USP for the movie is that Ajay Devgan and Tabu are playing star-crossed lovers, and you basically give that portion, like, like Tabu and Ajay Devgan basically have about 15 minutes of FaceTime with each other, that really doesn't work for me. Like if you are selling an epic love story, then have the balls to like make it an epic love story and also center the two people upon which that story is being sold. And then
You make a handi of biryani and there's only 2 chicken pieces in it.
Exactly. That was basically what this movie was like. And I was telling Asim actually that I don't think Sujoy would like this movie in any case, but I think Asim would like this story. Like, he would have liked this movie. I think he and his wife could have watched this together. And you probably will watch it, right? Like when it
I
comes
will.
on
I'm,
stream.
I'm really. There's something about this movie from the trailer just kind of hooked me. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm laughing because I've just thought of Handi mein kahan dum tha, and now I'm laughing.
No, the title is terrible. Like this is one of the top worst titles ever. Not even like this year, like ever. Like what the heck is this title? It's every bit as bad as like Kabhi Sautin Kabhi Saheli, like whatever that
Yeah.
was. Like
Yeah.
it's terrible.
People on Patreon prove Asim wrong. Please vote for handi mein khadam tha.
No, but also I wanted to ask you, Amrita, how this is not the type of movies Neeraj Pandey makes, right? So how is that aspect of it? Like
Okay,
Neeraj Pandey.
so before I before I went to watch this movie, I saw somebody. I was trying not to see any spoilers, but somebody on Twitter described this movie as Veer Zara meets Drishyam, and I was like, "What?" And so I went in and like I immediately saw what they were talking about because it is Veer Zara meets Drishyam. Funny as that sounds, but the thing is like. I saw the twist in the tale coming like a mile away. And honestly, when you watch this movie, you also will know immediately when the big thing happens, you will know immediately what the twist is. Like there is just no way that anybody who's ever watched a movie before in their life, like not even like thrillers or like mysteries, if you have watched a movie, you know what the plot twist is going to be. So that just kind of fell flat. The funniest thing to me and like the biggest plot twist was that Shantanu Maheshwari plays young Ajay Devgan. So I'm like, wow, that is some hard labor. But also Sai Manjrekar plays the young Tabu, and she is excellent. Like I
I've
really
heard
liked
good
her.
things about her. Yeah.
I really liked her, and she has this old world quality about her, and she doesn't look like, all the other girls. I really liked it. And I really like Shantanu Maheshwari as well. Like, he's I like him in Gangubai. I like him here. He's very watchable.
Right. Yeah, no, I think I'll definitely be watching this when this comes out on streaming. There's something about it that just appeals to me, and it's one of those movies where everybody like didn't like it, and I'm like gonna prove them that I like it. That's the thing about it. I don't know. You also saw Ulajh, and you also said I might like that one.
No, I did not say that you would like that one. I said it was the stupidest movie that I've watched in a very long time. So everyone online has been talking about like, it's Janhvi, failed Nepo kid. She has ruined another movie. Janhvi Kapoor is the least of this movie's problems. Like Janhvi Kapoor is actually one of the strengths of this movie. She is actually like really good in this movie. And she does the best that she can with it. But the thing is like, this is a spy thriller that has been written by somebody who has never actually watched a spy thriller. So all the entire plot rests on Janhvi's character being a dimwit. Like that is like literally it. And apparently like India doesn't know how to train its diplomats. That's the foundation for this movie. So
is this based on something real that happened? Or?
No, I don't think so. They do like start the movie by saying, like this is a shout out to the people in the foreign service who avert war every day or something. And I was just like, well, okay, great, good for you. But it genuinely is like really stupid. There's a whole Pakistan subplot, but it's not what you might think.
Like I was going to ask you, can I like?
No, it is not what you think it is. It is like very like when you watch it you'll just be like, why why did this happen, but not in the usual way. And also there's this point in the film where she's talking in French to the French ambassador, and literally the friend and I that went to watch this movie together, like we burst out laughing because it was genuinely one of the worst French accents I have ever heard in my life. Like she didn't even try, bro. Like she was just like she was just like, mon plaisir, votre excellency. And I was just like, what is that? She said it in the exact same accent that she has when she's like speaking in English. It was hilarious. But Ulajh, avoid. Auron mein kahan dam tha. Maybe a one-time watch on streaming.
So it's not a Janhvi's Razi, basically. I think that's what it was trying to place it as, right? Yeah.
But both Gulshan Deviah and Roshan Matthews are excellent in it. And also there was like this weird thing that happened where like her dad is being played by the guy that played Sridevi's husband in English. Yeah, and I was just like, oh, like and she was like she's like a daddy's girl in the film, and I was just like, oh, she would have been so much better and more believable even in like a really poorly written role like this. So I just missed Shri all over again.
She's been on Janhvi has been on like a promotional like whirlwind tour, right? She's got this one coming out. She's got another one coming. She had Mrs. and Mrs. Mahi that came out not too long ago, which is now on Netflix, I think. And then she had the new song from Devara, I think, also that came out. Did you guys listen to the song or watch the
No,
clip?
not yet.
Amrita,
I did.
Yeah.
I don't. It's just a teaser. I don't think the full song is out. Again, I don't get what everybody's problem is with that song. Like, are you saying, like, everyone's like, oh my god, he looks so much older. They have no chemistry, and like, yeah, like, that's, do you not know how Telugu cinema works? Like, we just saw Mahesh Babu with like Sri Leela in Guntur Karam. That was like earlier this year. Like, are you seriously like surprised that Janhvi would come opposite Junior NTR? Like, I don't get it.
How old is Junior NTR now?
I think he's in his late 30s, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. No, I mean, we've seen worse than, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, literally, we have Vani Kapoor and Akshay Kumar at the moment at the same time happening. So
he's 41.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
50 there. I mean, I'm Team Janhvi all the way. You're not gonna hear me say anything bad. Like, I think she looks like $1,000,000 in that song. I think she dances really well. I'm gonna watch Ulajh. I'm gonna watch the bad French accent, and I'm gonna forgive her. Just gonna forgive her. So, I'm unfortunate that Ulajh didn't work for you. I was thinking that might be a good one too. Sujoy, you and me, no, you watch Brinda. Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go there first. Huh?
Just a minor footnote or header, whatever. Like the Apple TV problem when they have so much great content, but they don't market it enough for it to occupy pop culture space like the Netflix and the Amazon Prime shows do. Like they put in so much money in making these shows and get really great creators. I think that's also true for Sony Liv when it comes to Indian content, because they have a lot of good streaming shows and nobody has heard of them unless it's like even Scam. Nobody really watched the second season with the Telgi story, right? And that was supposed to be good. Rocket Boys, it came and went, and only a very few selected people who actively talk about streaming shows watched it, but nobody in the grand scheme of things. It's the prime shows that make the most noise. So when I talk to you guys about this, you hadn't heard about it, right? This is a show originally made in Telugu, but there are dubbed versions also streaming on Sony Liv. It's a show called Brinda with Trisha Krishnan playing the title role of this. She's a superintendent of police or an SI, I think, and she's posted in this small town where bodies start piling up, and they try to sort of connect the dots about this particular serial killer who is killing off people, and then it also goes into the sort of flashback of where the actual story started, or into the psyche of this particular serial killer. And he belongs to a certain tribe, and his younger sister was tried to be killed off in a tribal ritual, and he sort of rescued his mom, and then the rescue mission failed, but he sort of survives, but the mom gets killed off in front of him, and I don't know what exactly happens. I haven't finished the series yet, but it's really well written. It's really well acted. It's structured in a way that, how modern binge watching sort of influences you to keep watching episode after episode. It's sort of smartly structured into that. How true crime was such a wave, and this is sort of riding that. There's lots of elements of true crime sort of juxtaposed with drama and characters suffering from their own trauma, and that's what we get with the title character as well. If you are sort of familiar and fond of that genre, I would highly recommend to watch Brinda, but with a big warning that there is a lot of violence happening in this show. So you might be triggered because there's violence against women, against children, and against just normal men as well.
Right. And Sony is available in the UK. Like, how are you watching? Is it like a VPN, or like you have account from India? Or something?
It is a Indian account from VPN, but I think they have a Sony Liv here.
But I think it was a fascinating interview I had with the head of Sony when Suchin, our friend Suchin, was doing streaming with Suchin. I think it was last season, and he had a chat with the head of Sony, and they had this clear strategy where they were going after high quality but low numbers.
Yeah.
It's just another show I had never heard of talk about. So until Sujoy brought it up on the largest audio podcast in the world about Indian content. So if Sony wants to make some changes and sponsor us, they can do that. youpodcasting@gmail.com. You also watched, I don't know if you watched this, Amrita. I probably didn't have a chance. The first direct documentary that Film Companion Studios had made, called Modern Masters Rajamouli. Have you seen this, Amrita?
I have not, but I want to watch both that and also Angry Young Men, which is the Salim Javed story. That's like a new series on Prime. So these are like two things that I want to see.
I definitely want to watch that. I think we definitely want to cover it when we come back. That one, I'm fascinated, even more than this one, I guess. But yeah, it's an hour long. It's on Netflix, and I was like really struggling this week on what should I watch. And I was like, okay, this I can cover. It's not that long. And the thing is, I love documentaries or movies. I just like documentaries just generally. I watch a lot of them. But when it's about movies, I feel I really love them because obviously I love movies. That's why we do this podcast. But I also feel that there's not been that many great documentaries about movies, especially about Indian movies and Indian filmmakers. I feel the only real good one I thought was the Shah Rukh Inner World, Outer World one that was done like a very long time ago. And I think also Anupama Chopra was involved in that. And I also liked Cinema Marte Dam Tak. I think that was...
Yeah.
But even then, I was like 100% like, this is really, really good. But Sujoy, you watched this too. What did you think of Modern Masters Rajamouli?
So, I am very, very much a fan of Rajamouli, right? And I'm also a fan of movies about movies, documentaries about movies, the whole behind the scenes of what goes into the madness of making movies. And we actively watch making of movies that we cover on the show. This documentary sort of did not necessarily provide me the stuff that I was looking for. I think it did not have enough insight into the world of Rajamouli. It's kind of surface level. It's almost talking about the movies that he has made and the journey. So it's probably not suited for those who are not. It's probably suited for those who are completely new and have probably just watched RRR and want to know about this guy, rather than for us who have kind of watched a few more. I don't necessarily know if I'm the audience for it. I did not get enough insight from this documentary at all. The one thing that I gained knowledge was probably like a lot of his family is involved in the making of the movies that he makes.
Yeah.
So from his sister-in-law to uncle to father to grandfather, everybody. And I realized that M.M. Keeravani, the music composer of all his movies, is also a family relation to him. That was probably the only thing. But other than that, the Anupama Chopra interviews are probably similar to the ones that I watched Anupama Chopra interview all the other filmmakers on Film Companion. So I did not necessarily get something extra out of this documentary that I would have expected.
Yeah. I'm the same with you. It didn't work for me, unfortunately. Like, I was excited to watch it, and also just kind of excited for Film Companion Studios to do something new. And this didn't work for me because exactly what you're saying. I didn't understand who this documentary necessarily was for. I have not watched a lot of his older movies. I just kind of came into Magadira was probably the first one. And they don't really explain those first few movies. They don't get into them. They don't talk about, it's really about Rajamouli and his family. And it's also never about his approach to movie making that much. Like, I would love it if they had broken down the mechanics of how they shot something, or even how they structured the movie or the screenplay, or how he manages to make those was they have James Cameron in this.
Yeah.
They don't utilize it. I was like, oh my god, you have James Cameron, but they don't never really elevates except him just like very superficially talking about movies.
Yeah.
Like, where is the connect between James Cameron and Rajamouli? Where I do feel there's a connect where they can create very, in a way, simple stories that get elevated by the treatment. But what is that treatment? We never really understand it in this movie. What makes Rajamouli him? And it seems to be the answer that it's his family. But I just don't feel that's,
Yeah.
The other thing is also the way a documentary is shot. It's also just funny, right? Like there's these conventions where Rajamouli is walking and like the camera is behind him, and then he's just
it's the
staring
same.
at the.
It's the same conversation, but it starts off in LA, then it goes to Tokyo, and then they're talking like in a studio in Hyderabad somehow, and it's the same conversation being threaded through these three locations, and it's very conveniently edited in. But for me, as a story, like as I'm trying to consume the story, it's very jarring.
Yeah, and also the shots of him staring at the seaside, and then the cameras in the background. It just feels like this is really odd the way it's shot. And then also like you're in America, you're in these very pivotal moments of his success, right? He's at the Oscars, he's at the Grammys, he's in Japan, and we never interact with any Japanese fans. Like we don't know what the appeal for Japanese fans is. What is the appeal for what is the American fan that is veering towards? What is it about Rajamouli that kind of connects with these people? And it's never delved into. And I was like, it's not really giving me anything that I like you said, I don't know who this documentary is for necessarily, except it being a documentary. So I was a bit disappointed with this, fortunately. And Amrita, I would not necessarily recommend this to you to watch it.
It doesn't sound like it.
Yeah. So it kind of worries me about the angry young man thing, because I do hope that they can delve deeper and they can have these interviews. And I feel maybe that's the other thing also with maybe Rajamouli. He's very, he's uncontroversial, I feel. Where I feel like both Salim Javed might be a bit more controversial. But yeah, I don't know. But I was watching it and I was like thinking, who else do you think they could make these stories about? Like who else, if this Modern Masters, clearly it's setting it up to be a series, right? Which other filmmakers would you like, Amrita? Which would you like, Sujoy, for example?
Milan Luthria.
Like Karan Johar is the obvious one, right?
Yeah.
Sanjay Leela Bhansali is the obvious one, I guess. But who else would you kind of want?
I'm sure like FC won't make something on Vidhu Vinod Chopra because of conflict of interest, but also like Vidhu Vinod Chopra doesn't necessarily have all, like he's made Parinda, obviously that's one of the most iconic pieces of Indian cinema, but after that his work hasn't necessarily stood the test of time. BBC Studios on the other hand has obviously been a massive player with the Munna Bhai movies, Three Idiots, PK.
I mean, 12th Fail was a big thing, but it's not like, it's not PK. Like, it's with Vinod Chopra, the biggest successes are production more than direction in a way.
Yeah.
Amrita, any...
Yeah, I would like to see something about the early 2000s, actually. Like the, like there was a whole slew of what we would call B movie makers. That
Mohit Suri kind of things or something.
Or like Vikram Bhatt.
Mahesh Bhatt. Mahesh Bhatt could be an interesting one, I think. At least like obviously. The guy has RGV.
Maybe we should do those things. Let's all give our ideas. Yeah. Also, maybe Farah Khan.
Absolutely.
Choreographer to what she is now, and I would love it. Like also then dealing into the complexity of not being able to make movies anymore. That is like also a very interesting thing. Like it's a massive filmmaker. Somebody's delivered like movies that are going to stand the test of time, box office wise and cultural cachet wise, has not been able to make a movie for years. And what is that struggle, right? That could be.
I mean, she's a successful YouTuber now.
Yeah. Her and her cook Dilip, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, it's this one didn't work for me. I Like I was saying, I was struggling a little bit with finding what to watch. So I watched Modern Masters, and then I was thinking Chandu Champion came on, and then Indian 2 also dropped. There were a few other movies like Mr. and Mrs. Mai that I hadn't watched before. So I was like, should I? Shrikant also dropped again. I didn't watch that, but I did go back. I felt, I've joked about it around. I've not watched Laapata Ladies yet, so I finally sat down and I watched it, and I loved it. It feels weird to talk about this movie like so many months later when everybody's seen it, but I also feel like sometimes it's good to watch a movie after the hype, after the discussion, because when it came out there was also the whole conversation with Animal happening at that same time. Remember, like, the whole feud they were having? He said something about Kiran Rao, and then Kiran Rao was responded, and like a lot of times it's good to kind of like separate all of those and then just watch a movie as it is. And I actually watched it, and I was like immediately telling my wife, you have to watch this movie tonight. Like, this is how good this movie is. And oh my God, I love this so much. Like, it's such good filmmaking. I love both of the characters, like both of the Pool and the other character,
Shreya.
Yeah.
Jaya and Shreya.
Jaya, yeah. Pushpa Rani, and then Jaya, she was called. And we've discussed a lot of times about, masculinity on the show too. And it was just like a very interesting take on masculinity without it like setting, like being a red flag for like MRAs, like men's right activists, to go attack this movie, because it plays it very smartly and very safely. And I just absolutely love this movie. I'm glad I almost waited to watch it without anything else, and I'm glad I didn't watch Chandu Champion or Indian 2, which apparently is one of the worst movies of the year. But I'm really glad I got to it, and I'm almost surprised that this movie is not like a bigger thing than it should be. Like, we just mentioned 12th Fail. I feel 12th Fail has reached like some sort of level where it really connected with the audience. It really had a huge, massive box office.
Yeah.
And I feel Laapata Ladies didn't have that legacy. I don't know when it exactly came out. It was in January, on February, or maybe even end of December.
I think, March it came out.
Yeah. Yeah, so it is actually this year. So I'm really wondering if it is even going to be a contender for, the best movie of the year or the best movie that it wins awards. And I feel it deservedly would be up there, but I just don't feel the conversation is there anymore. Amrita, do you still think a lot about Laapata Ladies? Is it still kind of like a movie you recommend? Oh, Amrita?
I don't particularly think about it, but I do. Yeah, I think it is. It's like, do you remember Little Miss Sunshine that came out?
Yeah.
It's like that.
Like Miramax movies back in the day where
Yeah.
Like, you don't particularly think about it once you've watched it, but you're very glad that you did watch it and you recommend it to other people.
Yeah. No, I think it's just one of those movies that has really broad appeal to, it's, yeah. Sujoy, do you think still Laapata Ladies is this still kind of...
Yeah, again, I don't actively think, but whilst we are having this conversation, I'm thinking about the scenes of that movie and what particular scenes sort of brought me joy. And this is a happy movie. It brings you joy by the way it sets up the characters, the underdogs, the obstacles that they face, and then they have to overcome them, and the people they meet on the way, like the lady who owns the tea stall at the train station. She's the one who plays Kanchan Komri in Madgaon Express. Her character and how she's like. Obviously, India is a scary place, especially for single women out in villages, in railway stations. So it's a very sanitized view of she did not go through the struggles of meeting predators or whatever, but she met instead people who are helpful to her. Pata lady that we are talking about, Pool. But then she obviously, gets back and eventually meets her family again. And it sort of revealed that, her success in a way. And also the other, Jaya's story is also as important to this whole story. And what all of them learn through each other is kind of sweet. And also like Ravi Kishan's character sort of taking up against the guy who threatens him is kind of like amazing.
Yeah, I felt that switch was a bit like it needed to happen from a story point of view, but I don't think necessarily the character was really established that way that he would have that switch.
Yeah.
Because he just seemed like a despicable guy. And I read later on, I think Amir really wanted to play that role. Either they asked him or he wanted to play that role and they convinced him not to play it. But that, I was like, oh, I get it. I get that switch if Amir was supposed to be it, because inherently Amir is supposed to be the good guy, right?
Yeah.
But with Ravi Kishan, Kishan, how do you pronounce his name? I'm not sure. I don't. It was just like a very sudden switch, but I think it just keeps kind of like, because the movie wants to be lighthearted and it wants to be like positive. I was like, it's okay. It's still it still kind of works for me. But I'm really happy that I watched it before. The thing, Sujoy, what you're saying also, just there's so much content out there, and you don't always kind of go back and watch something because there's always new things coming out. And I'm glad I kind of took that moment to revisit or watch Laapata Ladies for the first time. So I'm really happy I did. One more thing I think we want to discuss.
Before we end this all, we have to talk about what Salman Khan wrote about Laapata Ladies on his Twitter, because that should be the ultimate review that any piece of content gets. He wrote, "Just saw Kiran Rao's Laapata Ladies. Wow, Kiran. I really enjoyed it, and so did my father. Congrats on your debut as a director. Superb job. Kab kaam karogi mere saath?" By the way, Kiran Rao has made movies before this.
He deleted it later on and he wrote it then. He took out the debut or first time things. But when Salman Khan writes a tweet and when he doesn't write a tweet, this one clearly was written and then edited by his team. But imagine Salman watching Dhobi Ghat though. Hilarious. But yeah, since you're on the topic of Salman, I think we should just talk 50 minutes about this though, right? AP Dhillon released a song called Old Money, which not important. That part is not important. What the important part is he asked Salman to come into the song video clip and then just kick ass for 3 minutes long. And then Sanjay Dutt also appears. Amrita, did you watch this clip or did you just dodge the whole thing?
I mean, of course I watched it.
What did you think?
Was that the same house from Bazigar and stuff? It was, right?
Yeah, it was the Andaz Apna Apna house, yeah.
Yeah, that is the house. Honestly, that's all I really took away from it. I was just like, it's that house. Yeah, Salman needs a break, is what I got out of it.
Really? Oh, okay. Sujoy, what about you?
The moment I saw this video, I thought about You Rock My World, which was probably one of the last big hits of Michael Jackson. That was an event that when that music video came out, and for no reason it had Marlon Brando and Michael Madsen in it, and then obviously there's Chris Tucker as well. So yeah, it kind of is that. We don't make music videos like this anymore, and this is a masterpiece. Very sarcastically, obviously, but it's as when we were talking about it in the group chat, Asim said this is Salman's animal, and I could not shake that feeling off.
Salmanimal.
Yeah, that T-shirt is coming, baby.
Yeah, I think he saw animal is like bhai aisa hi banate.
But for that, for this 5 minutes or less video, they really went for it. The stunt work is quite good. Better than Kisi Ka Bhai Kisi Ki Jaan.
It's good when Salman comes in, I feel.
I
feel like when the whole part at the start with AP Dhillon was happening, it feels like any kind of influencer video about, he punching, that punching. I was like, this isn't working for me necessarily. But when Salman comes in, I really like the action, and I was like, wow, this okay, I'm an easy target to say these things. But there's a skill to these kind of things that having a career of 40 years and having a certain physicality brings that you cannot replicate when AP Dillon is doing the same thing with the same team like 30 seconds earlier, right? So yeah, for me it totally worked. I was like, I watched Old Money, and funny man, what's funny about Old Money is I remember the clip. I cannot sing you the song. If somebody puts a gun to my head, I could not sing you the song or hum the tune to you, right? So the video clip is so much stronger than the song itself is.
Yeah.
I also don't know AP Dillon as a singer or a performer, so it's not really a music genre that I know that well. But I watched Old Money, and then I watched Tiger 3 after that because I was like, I miss this Salman. I want to watch him kick ass again. You want to hear my thoughts on Tiger 3 after having rewatched it?
Yeah.
Still not good, man. What a mess of a movie, man. What a mess of a movie.
Yeah, what
and
a missed opportunity.
I think it's really a failure of the director more than anything. Like, it's writing and directing, and both Salman and Katrina are like 100% committed to that movie. And it's just not working, man. It's just not working, unfortunately. Yeah, Old Money is fun though. It's kind of a cool. And then Sanjay Dutt also comes in, which was yeah.
And he was something by Baba Sanju Dutt Saab and all of that, right?
Tere Liye Dutt Saab, and then somebody Zinda Hai, so maybe
Sanju.
Making, I didn't understand it. Like, so this is a world where Sanjay Dutt is a real person, but Salman is AP Dillon's brother. Like, So okay. Anyway, it's out. If you haven't seen Old Money yet, you can stream it on YouTube and watch it there. Anything else we wanted to talk about? I think we're done now.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, cool. I think that's it. Like I said, we're going on a break. We're going to record one more episode for Patreon. There's going to be a Patreon exclusive where we're going to be talking about all of the Bollywood stuff we watched, like a lot of show, Deadpool 3, all of these things. I'm not sure if Amrita will join us, but let's see. It's going to be a surprise for you and me. Amrita, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at AmritaIQ.
Sujoy?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at 93K. You can follow the Khandaan socials at Khandaan Podcast and check out our YouTube channel at Khandaan Podcast. We have a lot of shorts and video essays coming up. Lots of content there.
Yeah, and also leave a comment on the video essays. I think that enlarges reach or something like that. So thumbs up and stuff like that. We don't know YouTube. This is new for us. Help us out, like your millions of you are there. Go to YouTube, watch the damn video, and drop us an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back in a month's time or something. That's it. क्या बोलती